Hi everyone, and welcome to day 29 of 30 days before Halloween on Adams for the Love of Movie Picks. This time around, the category for the second to last night is going to be a very good one for Halloween's sake and horror sake, and a beloved category by many, I would think, ghosts. So to start this off, we are going to talk about the Paranormal Activity movies. So, the Paranormal Activity movies are a bit done in the found footage format. Basically, like if someone had shot them with their home camera, a lot of times with the found footage, it's meant to make it look like a real, like this really happened. Like it's and especially when you use like a cast that nobody's really heard of before, and you think they're real people. Um, but what was for me really special about the Paranormal Activities, and these are the first five. I know there's six. We'll get to the sixth one in a minute. What's special about these Paranormal Activity movies for me? If memory serves me right, I think the first one, I was just gonna say 2010. It actually came out in 2009. And for me, what's very special about these is you consider all the horror movies that have come before this. For them to bring something new to the game and be effective was extraordinarily rare and impressive. Just the scare tactics that they use seem so simple, but they're so effective. And it was just really surprising in 2009 to have a movie that it still had that kind of old school scare factor, but did things that you hadn't really seen before and still managed to scare the crap out of you. Like, I'll give you a prime example. In number two, I'm pretty sure it's number two, there's a scene in the middle of the day. No, it's almost like a cardinal rule with horror movies. I don't know what it is. They gotta take place at night, and even when they don't take place at night, the scares at least take place at night. Very rarely do you see a horror movie do anything during the daytime, unless it has to do with vampires. Um, it's there's a scene in the second one where, it's the middle of the day. It's a kitchen setting. I forget what it is. I think there's baby eating or something. I forget the exact premise of what's going on in the kitchen, but just out of nowhere, the freaking kitchen explodes like loud, like a bomb went off. The doors all slam open, crap goes flying. The first time I watched it, it scared the hell out of me because you're not expecting something like that. That's an example of what I love about these Paranormal Activity movies. Now, I'll be honest, as the series kind of drug on, it kind of got monotonous and mundane and repetitive, but still a really good franchise to watch. I highly recommend it if you've never seen it before. And I do apologize for giving away that one thing if you haven't seen it before, but even if I give it away, you're still not going to be expected. I guarantee you that. Next up is the sixth movie, Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension. Now, this is supposed to be the final film in the franchise, and for the most part, it is. I just found this out tonight. They released a seventh film just today, Paranormal Activity: Next of Kin. Other than the name, it has apparently no tie-in to the original franchise. So check it out if you will. I might check it out at some point, but yeah, the Ghost Dimension is supposed to be the final one in this. And I did forget to mention basically, the premise of the Paranormal Activity is like, the first one, it starts off with a young couple. It seems like their house is haunted, and then you kind of find a little bit more about the demonic presence that's scaring them. And then you figure out where it all started with Katie and her sister and everything when they were kids. Then it moves into something with a mysterious boy and a family's young daughter witnessing terrifying events lead to her new neighbors. And then it moves to what seems like a completely different story. And then it all ties it in at the end. And then of course the Ghost Dimension. You basically can see stuff as it's happening. And then you get a new family moves into Katie and Christie's house. They discover a serious video camera that reveals the presence of an ancient evil. Basically, you can see the ghost as what's happening, even though they can't see it. You can see it through the camera. So yeah, just like I said, a really great franchise. Highly recommend the Paranormal Activity if you've never seen it before. Next up is going to be Mirrors 1 and Mirrors 2. Basically, whereas the Paranormal Activity didn't really star anybody that and that's kind of what made it more believable. This one here has Kiefer Sutherland in it, Paula Patton, and Amy Smart in the first one. excuse me. Look deeper into the worlds of mirrors with a throw-pack DVD featuring an unrated cut of the film plus an over an hour special feature. So attempting to pick up the shattered pieces of his life, a disgraced former cop, Kiefer Sutherland, takes a routine job guarding the charred ruins of a once famous department store. But the terrifying images he sees in the store's ornate mirrors will send him on a pulse-pounding mission to unravel the secrets of the building's past before they destroy his entire life. Just a really creepy movie. Basically, like, he almost see the reflection in the mirror, and what's going on in the mirror, it can reflect to you. Like, I'll give you an example. I think at one part there's a dude standing in front of these cursed mirrors, and this reflection is cutting their throat, and even though he doesn't have anything in his hand, his throat gets cut. So, really creepy stuff like that. Just a great horror movie. Highly recommend Mirrors. Other than the name, I don't know if there's any link between the first and the second one. Just other than the premise of it, with the cursed mirrors and the reflections making people do stuff and that. Again, just a really great horror movie. Nick Stahl is in this one, and that's about the only one I recognize from that one. So check out Mirrors 1 and 2 if you've never seen them. Next up, so I've done the first one enough times, so I didn't want to include it for a third video, more or less. So we already talked about Poltergeist 1, now we're going to talk about Poltergeist 2 and 3, and we are going to talk about the remake Poltergeist. So 2 and 3 are tied into the original storylines. In the second one, the sinister supernatural forces return in this heart-pounding, otherworldly thriller filled with jolting state-of-the-art special effects. The Freeling family settles into a new home following the annihilation of their former residence by terrifying visitors from the netherworld, but the spirits of the dead are still hell-bent on luring the family's clairvoyant daughter Carol Ann to the other side. And then in the third one, the ghosts are still looking for Carol Ann in this riveting and cinematic finale to the Poltergeist trilogy. Sent by her parents to live in a Chicago high-rise with her aunt, Nancy Allen, uncle, Tom Skerritt, and cousin, Lara Flynn Boyle, Carol Ann must face demons even more frightening than ever before as they move from invading homes to taking over an entire skyscraper. Ingenious and cleverly executed, special effects highlight this haunting chiller that takes terror to new heights. So yeah, in the first ones, I forgot to mention, you've got Craig T. Nelson and of course Heather O'Rourke. And yeah, it's interesting. The second one's pretty good. The first one obviously was a staple. It's obviously the best of the series. But the second one and the third one, they were pretty good. The second one, having its own storyline, and then the idea for taking over the skyscraper is brilliant for the third one. Really like that. And the only thing about this before I get into the remake, tragic note, if you don't know, it's really kind of creepy, for a movie that targeted this young girl. The girl that played the lead character, Carol Ann, Heather O'Rourke, she died. I forget if it was shortly after, like pretty much as soon as they finished filming, or just after the film was released. I can't remember. I forget what she died of, but it was some kind of illness that she had. Very tragic, but kind of creepy at the same time. And then yeah, the Poltergeist, the remake, kind of very similar to the the premise of the first one with the young girl and the spirits are trying to get her and what have you and whatnot. Obviously not in the same home, totally different family. This one here has got Sam Rockwell. And that's pretty much the extent of the well-known actors in this one that I recognize, but still really well done. Some modern scares with this. Obviously the original Poltergeist was made in the early 80s. This one here was made, I think it was 2015. So, has some modern scares in it, done with a modern take, and still a really good watch. Highly recommend it. So that's it for day 29, folks. That is, I saved one of the best categories for last in the ghosts. And tomorrow night will be the final night of 30 Days Before Halloween, day 30. Unfortunately, not any of you really have commented on any suggestions of movies that you would like to see, would like me to recommend that you have seen. So I am just going to be doing a filler category tomorrow night, just with some random leftover videos that I had that didn't really have their own category. So I'm just kind of do a miscellaneous mishmash of videos. So check that out, folks, for day 30, tomorrow night, Devil's Night. Check it out, and I hope you've enjoyed 30 Days Before Halloween up until this point, folks. We'll catch you tomorrow night. Take care.